Hey guys, Long Haul Larry, and I am down at the farm. Tracy is up at her place, and just to give you guys a real quick update on what's going on there. She had her visit, it was a video visit with her primary care doctor. Her primary care doctor was out of the office till Thursday. The reason why we came back down is because she has to have a primary care doctor refer her to the next person. And to up there to get a primary care doctor an appointment was such a long ways off, and she's really hurting, and she needs to get this done. She needs to get fixed and get work done here. So it's just easier, and her primary care doctor knows her. There's been things that she's had in the past that she knows what's going on with Tracy. So it was just a better decision to forward all the scans and all the x-rays and stuff, forward everything down. She got back on Thursday, and then Friday morning they set up an appointment and everything, and it was about an hour and a half drive from her house over to Eau Claire to where the doctor was, and the doctor was like, we'll do this video, not a big deal, I got all the information I need. So they did it, and she just kind of basically did a bunch of questionnaires and things that she's been doing, what the doctors up there in the UP have subscribed to her and stuff. And somebody I know in the comments said something about she needs to try a steroid pack. I've actually done steroid packs with my back and the issues I've had over the years and stuff too. Yes, they can work. She did have one. They did give her one up there, and she took it. It's like 6 pills the first day, 5 pills the next day. She did that, and it didn't do anything for her. We're not really sure what's going to be going on, but I ended up catching a ride from her daughter to Wausau, and then the drunk carpenter came over and picked me up. And I was going to go to his house, and then I was going to get a ride from somebody else from his house down. But he was like, I'll just take you. So he ran me on down to the farm, and I got on back here. Tracy's up there, and she's basically just laying around on ice and just binge watching. Her daughter lives a block and a half away. And this truck, I need to get this truck going. I need a vehicle. I need my truck to haul everything, do stuff, and it's got an oil pan that's got to come out, and it's a pain in the butt. And so we decided, we know for a fact her doctor basically had talked to her and said, okay, let's refer you to this guy, and it's a pain management specialist, and there's a neurosurgeon too there. And she said, I'm going to forward all the scans there and have them all look at it and see where to go from there. So we know that they're not going to contact her until Monday. And so I decided to come down here and see if I can knock this out. I have ordered the oil pan for it, and the oil pan is definitely leaking. It's really bad. Also, I had another issue with this thing. I think it was last fall. I think it was spring. I'm not really sure when it was. But I had an H-pop line started leaking really bad. And it happened up in the UP, and I ended up changing it. I had to order one. I was supposed to be at a wedding for my niece, and the H-pop line started leaking really bad, and it was just pouring oil all over the place, and I couldn't get back. I called them up, said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to a wedding, I apologize. And I had to order the hose up there in the UP, and then I had to put it in up there in the garage up there. Wasn't too big of a deal. It's just a little line. It has 2 clip things that you just pop off and pop the new line on. But it is still leaking oil. I've been noticing it up on the top here, and I have just figured it out. It is leaking on the back side. I don't know how good you guys are going to see this. I'm trying to get you light here. But this is the high pressure reservoir. And there is a gasket on the top and then a gasket on the bottom. The gasket on the bottom is leaking. There's like an O-ring that is in the shape of this deal here. And the one on the bottom, you can see where it's leaking out, and it's running down the side of the engine over here, and it's kind of spraying oil back a little bit and stuff. So that I figured out. I'm going to have to get online, see if I can find that those O-rings, and then tear that apart and replace those, clean everything up and replace it. Should take care of that. I did have plans to do this whole rebuild thing on this truck. This truck runs great. It runs fine. I mean, I'll fire it up for you. I mean, it runs great. It sounds awesome. The truck runs awesome. So, I mean, the motor, I planned on doing a bunch of different things. And what I plan on doing is actually pulling off this whole cab and getting it, and it may sound crazy, but this whole cab, the whole front end, the hood, everything comes off in one piece. The cab, everything. And pulling it up, and that's how you can get to the engine real good. And then I was going to do an overhaul on the engine. The engine has over 300,000 miles on it. I was going to do an overhaul on it, but it does run good. But I thought if I'm going to do all this stuff, I might as well do it at one time. I was going to take the transmission in, get it rebuilt. Nothing wrong with it, but you're going to be that way, you might as well. I was going to sandblast the frame rails. I was going to repaint everything. And then I was going to go around and I was going to start patching up this stuff here where the paint, where it's starting to rust a little bit. I need to catch that. And before it starts doing any damage. Right now it's just a little bit of surface rust. It's not into the metal at all. And there's a couple spots on here. It's right here. And there's some on the other side. And then I was going to do a whole paint job on it and everything else. I was actually going to put a lift kit on here. I had talked to a company in Iowa. They make a special lift kit for this truck. And it actually gets rid of the leaf springs. And it's a whole independent thing and all this stuff. It's really cool. And it's all controlled by an air compressor and stuff. You can raise and lower it inside the truck and all this stuff. It's really cool. But just that kit is like $13,000. Do I want it? Yes, I do. And then my other plan is I was going to actually put some actual semi rims on here. They make adapters that you can adapt this and put semi rims. And so that was gonna be kind of crazy. And then I was gonna put some bigger tires on it and put the lift kit on it and stuff. Make it in a really cool truck. But I've been off work for 4 months. And so I'm just not going to be able to do this. So here's the plan. I need to change the oil pan. And I will show you where it's leaking. It's really bad. So you can actually see it. You can actually see it dripping. See that oil there? It's all leaking all down the side of this. It's not leaking from up. It's leaking down to the side. I just saw a drip come off it. It's just rusted through. This is the problem with these trucks. With these F350s, with these 7.3s, the oil pans always leak. Here's the problem. They built this big, huge cross member. It goes from here all the way up to here. And it goes right across the frame rail. In an oil pan, it's got a skinnier part up on the top, and then it has like a pan down that drops down the bottom where kind of oil sits in reserve. Well, that thing is so tight, you can't get it out. So, you can just see it dripping. It's just dripping oil, just pouring out of there. So this is what we got to fix. This is the main thing, and that H-pop reservoir. So here's the plan. I can't, if I had a car lift with a post lift and everything, with the arms that swing out underneath, I would actually pull this cab off. It'd be so simple. I've actually seen guys do it. Nothing to it. You got to disconnect a bunch of hoses and all kinds of stuff, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. But this whole thing just lifts right off. There's actually only 8 bolts that hold this whole cab on here. And they are right down here. I'm going to try to show you. You can see the one right there. That's one of them. That's a cab bolt. And there's one on each side in the front. On the front clip, there's one on each side. Then there's one that's right up in the footwell on each side. Then there's one that's in the back seat that's right up here, and there's also on each side, and then there's another one that's behind the seat on each side. So there's 8 bolts. Now here's the plan. I can't pull this cab. I can't do it and all this stuff. I don't have the capability right at this moment. So what I've looked at is I've actually seen a couple guys do this, where they remove all the cab bolts, and then what they do is they start to jack up the front end of the cab, this front clip, the whole radiator and deal stuff. And that starts coming up off the frame. And then what they do is they'll raise it maybe an inch, and then they pull out the 2 engine bolts that for the engine mounts. There's 2 bolts that holds the engine into the frame. They pull both of those engine bolts, and that releases the engine. Then the engine can come out. Then they put another jack underneath the block of the engine, and they start jacking that up. And they'll jack the engine up an inch. Then they'll jack the body up an inch. Then they'll jack the engine up an inch. And you just keep going up and up and up and up. And they say that you need about 5 to 6 inches of height. And you get that 5 or 6 inches, then you can unbolt the pan, and it'll drop and fall, and you can get it out. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I don't think I'm going to be going a step-by-step thing. There's lots of videos out here. I just show where the bolts in. I got to soak them with some PB Blaster, and then just sit there and work the bolts out. And then just put the jack on there and start working on it. Do I eventually plan on doing a whole reel? Yes, I do. This is my dream truck right here, guys. This is it. This is my dream truck. I have wanted one of these for very many years. And it's got the motor I want. It's the body style I want. It's the crew cab. With an 8-foot box and everything. It's everything that I want. And it's actually in really good shape. So I wanna really make this into a nice truck. But being out to work for the last 4 months and still working through this injury, I can't do this. So back here, this is a spot. It's starting to rust right here in the corner. I'm going to kind of tackle that. I have this special stuff. Where is it? So this is the stuff that I have. And anything that's on the body and stuff, I plan on using this. And this is called Pore 15. This stuff is awesome. And you basically, it says that you can put it directly over rust, but I wouldn't do that. What I will do is I actually take it down and grind it right down to the bare metal. And there's a spot here, and I actually just took some paint and painted over just to make sure it stopped rusting. This was here when I bought it. The other stuff is starting to happen. But anywhere where there's like a rusty spot or something like that, I will clean it down and I'll put this stuff over the top of it, and it's like eats into the metal and it will never rust again. There's a spot right here. So I'm going to clean up a couple of spots. I plan on actually redoing this whole body. And actually what I'm going to do is repaint the whole truck with it's actually a bed liner paint. I've seen guys do this and it comes out really cool. And it's actually super, super strong. Tree branches hit it and stuff. It doesn't scratch anything and it looks really good. So that's what I plan on doing in the future. And so it really doesn't have to be the smoothest stuff and stuff because it's going to get sprayed over with this kind of rougher texture stuff. It looks pretty good though. I got to find me a new fender here for this. If you guys don't know what happened there, I had my snow bike in there, went around a corner, it tipped over and my handlebar went right through. So it's just plastic. So I got to get a new handlebar for that. I don't think that you guys ever saw this. In fact, you guys never have. I know you haven't. I actually made a video of making this. So you can see the ramps here. This is what I used to load up my side-by-side. I made those out in Maryland and brought them back here. In the first set, I lost them. First time I used them. So I had to make another set. Those things are awesome. But I had bought a new tailgate because the old tailgate was really rusty. And I bought a new tailgate and put it on. And some people were saying, oh, you can't buy those. You got to buy a genuine Ford one because the other ones, they're just going to dent too. It actually did dent. I put the brand new tailgate on and I hauled it one time and it started to dent. The thing is on that side-by-side, the back wheel sits like right here. It sits about right there. And that's like 1,500 pounds, I think those things are, or something. I don't know how much I think, something like that. And that's a lot of weight bouncing down the highway on the thing. So I really can't say it was cheap or not, but it just kind of dented in a little bit, but you really can't see it from the outside, it's on the inside. But I decided to make this. I had some metal left from making those. And I actually made this. And I used the cables. And I used the mounts that were on my old rusted one. Cut those off, put those in there. And this actually goes up and down. Just like a tailgate. I actually like it a lot. And all I need to do is actually make a some kind of latch system for this. It won't close all the way because the ramps are hitting it right now. I don't know why. But they're kind of hitting it. But right now I just use a a strap to hold it. And then I put this on there too, just for added strength. It doesn't need it. But I made this so that it goes down and it sits right on the ball of my hitch. So it puts a whole bunch of support right out here. But I've hauled a side-by-side with this thing many a times. It does not do anything to it. It's awesome. I actually kind of like the looks of it. I just need to have some way to latch it. I got to figure that out. I still do have the other tailgate, and I'll probably put that back on there for this winter or something. So, I don't know. We'll see. But, you can see my fancy oil I stuck in here. That is the cheapest cheap oil that you ever get. I would not recommend using this in something. It's from Walmart Super Tech. But this truck's been parked out there for a while. And I had it in the shop, and it leaked oil all over the shop floor. Then I pulled it out and I cleaned the floor up. And I was working on my other truck and stuff. And I had it sitting outside. I had to dump oil in because it drained all the oil, leaked all out. Well, when I got here, down here, I actually, I checked it and it was out of oil. So I had to run down. Well, all I needed to do was drive it from over on the other side of the shed into here. And I just wanted to run it for a while to see where I could find the leaks. And then I'm going to drain oil and it's going to be junk anyways. So I just got the cheapest oil possible just to run it for that little bit. But I got me all brand new oil and filters and everything. It's all sitting right there. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to start working on. I don't know. I think I'll bring you guys back. I have the oil pan and I have an oil pan gasket. These actually don't come with an oil pan gasket. There's an oil pan made by a Moroso, I think it is. And I did a bunch of research, and that oil pan seems to be the replacement for this. This is a problem with this truck. This happens almost to everybody with these trucks. And so this company, what they did is they get the oil pans that are for this, and then they powder coat them. And then they charge extra money for that and stuff, and they put them out. And then they don't put a gasket on these oil pans. What they do is they just use RTV. That's the way it comes from Ford. That's the way they do it. And sometimes they leak a little bit, you know. So they actually made a really super nice gasket with some like spacers so it can't smush out and all this stuff. It's really nice. But the problem is I can't get the oil pan. Nobody has it in stock. I don't know if it's COVID stuff related or what, but nobody has this thing in stock. Can't get it anywhere. So I actually ordered just a plain one. I thought about powder coating it myself. If I take it in someplace, it's going to be a long time waiting. I need to get this turned around in a couple days because I got to get back up to Tracy. I felt kind of bad taking off, you know, but she's just laying on the couch, binge watching, and her daughter's going to be running over there and taking care of anything she needs and stuff. So she's in good hands while I ran down here, and I'm going to try to knock this out. Well, guys, it is the next day. I actually did not get this in here till dark last night. Anyways, it was like 6:30. But I worked on this thing last night a little bit. And I got all the oil drained because it was leaking all over the place. So I started draining that. And I got the bolts out down here. We can see that bolt right there. I got the nut off of there on both sides. I decided I'm going to be doing stuff and everything, so I decided I'd pull the battery so there's no current going through any wiring or anything. And that took me a little bit of a problem because there's like a hold down deal. The battery sits down in there. And then this little hold down thing goes alongside the battery, and then there's a bolt that threads down inside here. And I put a socket on there and it just stripped. The head just stripped right off of it. I could not get anything. I tried all kinds of different tools, easy out type things for nuts. Just couldn't get it. It just wouldn't hold. I actually ended up drilling it. You see the drill there? I actually ended up drilling the head of the bolt off and then was able to get this out. Got the battery out and I set the replace. It took me like a couple of hours just to get that one stupid little bolt out. But I got it out. I really didn't have to do this side, I guess. I got it out. I got that bolt out actually without even taking the battery out. But I said, I'm just going to pull the batteries. I'm going to test them and everything. And then I had such a problem with that bolt. And I was like, you know, if I have to change the batteries in the future, I might as well do it now. I got all the tools sitting here. So I got that bolt finally out. And then I'll put a new bolt in there and stuff. Put some anti-seize on there so that doesn't happen in the future. This side over here, I ended up pulling the whole air box out. It just made it easier because there was a big vent tube that went right here, and that was make it a lot easier for me to get down there. Probably could have got with a swivel and all kinds of different stuff, but I decided just to pull it apart. Well, guys, we are all free and clear. I got all the bolts out. I got the engine bolts out, and it is time to start jacking this thing up. I don't know if you could tell the difference or not, but this here used to be basically almost sitting on top of that. So I've gotten it up there by about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and I've jacked the cab up. And I don't know how good you can see. My light's not the greatest, but right here's the mount. You can see it's about 1.5 inches up. I got that up now, but the problem is that the motor, like the fan, is starting to hit the bottom of the shroud. So now the motor has to come up. So now I'm going to use a bottle jack, put it on the front of the block of the motor, and start tipping the motor. And I believe what I need to get is about 4 to 5 inches. I got to tip this up, and then I'll be able to get the oil pan out. I can tell you though, I actually thought I was kind of ready to go back to work. Maybe I'm working on trucks and stuff like that. I was actually supposed to go out to Maryland. I was supposed to actually go out there. It was all set up that I was going to be kind of flying out there, and I was going to be rebuilding one of the trucks out there. And he said he would have somebody there to handle some things, you know, that I wouldn't be able to do, it, torquing down head bolts, stuff like that. But it was planning on me going out there, but then I kind of re-injured my back, and then Tracy got bad. So it was just like, I can't do this. There's just no way I can do it. I can tell you, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to do this. I thought I would be, but I'm not. I'm actually really sore. The biggest problem is the I can't even think which column right at this moment. The deal that you roll around on the ground with, and that you get underneath the trucks and roll around with. Getting up and off of that thing, it hurts me a lot. I got to do it really slow and be really particular about it, and that's really sore for me. I'm actually going to go in the house now, and I'm going to sit on ice for a couple hours. The major part of it's done. It's all blocked and all jacked up. I have jack stands underneath it. So I left the jack underneath it on it, but there's also jack stands underneath there. So if it does lose air, it's only going to come down like a 1/2 inch or so, and it'll be on the jack stands. And everything's all blocked up. So now all I got to do is just pull those bolts and drop the oil pan, clean everything up. A couple other things I got to do. The one thing is the dipstick tube. I didn't think about it. I didn't order one, and when I went to pull the other one out, it was just all rusted and everything. I couldn't get it apart, so I ended up actually cutting a dipstick tube, and so I got to find another one of those and get the one of those coming real fast, because I got to get this truck done and get it back together, because I got to get back up to Tracy, because she's going to need to go to doctor appointments and stuff, and her daughter's is helping me out and everything, so I can come down here and do this, but I can't be along for very long. I can't be gone. I got to be back up there for Tracy. Well, guys, it has been a couple days waiting for this oil pan. Company I ordered from, it was, customer service sucks nowadays. It really does. But I've been trying to keep myself busy. I actually painted the frame rails. I don't know if you can see that or not, how good you can see it. But I actually painted it with this stuff that I got to paint up some rust spots and everything. I painted underneath the front fender there, the bottom of the doors. I put a coat on just to keep them rusty, and any kind of rust spots in the windows, on the bottom and the trim of the windows was starting to rust. Anywhere it was starting to rust, that's what I bought this for, was just to put this on there, and then I was planning on painting the whole truck over the top of it. But this stuff here is supposed to be some crazy stuff. I've seen some reviews of this, and it's Pour 15. And I had bought this a long time ago, and it says you paint directly over rust. Well, I didn't do that. I ground it right down to the bare metal, and then wherever there was rust, and then I put this over the top of it, and it eats into the metal. And I decided, well, you know, my overall was I wanted to do a complete rebuild on it. I can't get to it. But the frame rails were pretty rusty and stuff. And I thought, well, if it says you can paint over the frame rails. So I decided to paint the frame rails. I got them all the way down, all the way back. And I decided just to put this stuff on there just to keep it good until I can actually do a rebuild on this truck. To keep it, maybe it'll slow it down from the rusting. And I got to tell you guys, a warning. I painted the other side with a paintbrush. And it was taking so long and stuff. So I actually busted out a spray gun. And I dumped the stuff in my spray gun. And I mixed it and I started spraying it. And I just started spraying. I just wanted to see if it would work. And it started spraying and it was going through my paint gun. And it was spraying and it was getting, you know, kind of a mist in here. And I was like, okay, well, I need my mask and stuff. So I went digging out for my mask. And just those couple minutes, I started breathing the stuff in. This stuff actually gave me a chemical burn in my throat. And probably in my lungs. It was really seriously bad. It was crazy. I was rough shape for a day or so. But I did put my mask on and went in and I finished painting all up. I painted the whole underside of the cab. And I painted all the frame rails and stuff down there and stuff. Just to keep things from rusting any further. Some other things that I did is I actually buffed up my headlights. Buffed them all out, got them all polished up really nice. I was thinking I was going to put some LED bulbs in them, but they don't sell them around here. I had the same situation with Tracy's car. She has that Ford Edge, and I was going to put some LEDs, some nice LEDs, because she could play in about nighttime. And so I went look around. I could not find any of them. There are 9007 bulbs, same exact bulbs hers take. And what happens is there's a little gizmo thing in there, and this must be a Ford thing because same on hers. And when you switch it from high beam to low beam, that little thing flips back and it changes the angle of the light. That's what it does. And I searched all around. Only thing I could find was some HID bulbs. And my boss, he says HIDs are great, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. I have not had good luck with HIDs, so I'm actually going to order some LED bulbs. Same ones that I got for Tracy. Those work pretty good. Problem is, right now, Amazon is messed up. I mean, you order something, it takes a week. It's even with Prime and stuff. And if I order it here, I'm going to be gone by the time it comes. So, I'm going to be ordering it when I know where I'm going to be for a week later. All right. Well, here's the new oil pan. It finally came in today. Very unhappy with this company, but whatever. Just customer service. This is the gasket that I got from Moroso. They also make an oil pan, which is supposed to be a really good oil pan. It's supposed to like last forever and stuff. But it's basically, I guess, the same oil pan, but then they powder coat it too. I could do that too, but you know, I'll tell you the truth, the other oil pan lasted, what, almost 20 years. I'm going to be tearing this motor apart, you know, probably within the next year and actually doing a rebuild. So, you know, if I want powder coat, I can do it then. I just need to get this back in so I can get my truck back. But I got their gasket on there because they actually do not use a gasket on these trucks. They actually just put it's an RTV that comes from Ford, and you just put a layer of it on there and you just drop it up in there and tighten it up. The big problem is the dipstick tube. These trucks, they actually have an issue with this. This is the old one, and you can see how rusty and bad it was. It was all leaking all along the edge here. It was just running out of there. But this is the dipstick tube. And it has this adapter thing in it, and then the tube pushes down in, there's an O-ring that seals it. And you can kind of see how it goes in there. It goes in that little hole there. I don't know if I can get this one out. I tried to get the dipstick out, the dipstick tube. I put like a vice grips on it and tried to tighten it just before it'd crunch. And I took a hammer and I sit there and tapped up on the vice grip because it's just sitting there with an O-ring. And I tried getting it out of there and I could not get it out of there, and I ended up crushing it. And I went to Advance and they actually had the dipstick tube. So I'm like, okay, I'll just replace it. So I cut it to get the pan out. And I can tell you that I ordered this pan, and in the picture, it shows it has a brand new adapter on there. Well, I got the pan and I don't have the adapter now. So, I don't know. I'm going to try to pull this one out. Basically, it's got a big nut on the outside. And maybe I could tap it out through here. And then it just has like an O-ring on the inside of there. And when you tighten it up, that's what seals it. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can get this one out. I don't know if I can or not. Actually, Advance Auto, they actually have this adapter. Problem is I'm down here at the farm, and the only vehicle I have to use is my parents' car. And my mother had to run to a funeral, so she's gone. So I don't have a way to get to town to get the new adapter. So I'm going to try to do it. Alright guys, I did get the other dipstick adapter tube. Dipstick tube adapter. I got it pulled out and stuff, and I did get the broken off tube punched out. I punched it out from this end and got it out. And I tried cleaning it out a little bit, but it was so rusted down inside there. It's all full of rust down inside here. And right where the O-ring goes, it looks like it's kind of not rusty, kind of a little bit of rust right there. And I tell you, this is not something to mess around with. Because basically the way that this goes is this goes from the inside, and then a nut goes on the outside of it, and there's an O-ring that goes around in here. And you tighten that up, and then a dipstick tube just presses down inside there, and there's an O-ring in it that keeps from leaking. Well, if you go online, there's actually a lot of reports of guys complaining about this, that they leak. Well, if I put this rusty one back in there and put that down in there, that O-ring is going to be on that rust, good possibility to leak. And then what's going to happen is, the only way to change this, you have to get to the inside. So you'd have to take the oil pan off again, and it ain't worth it to me. So this company didn't send me one, but I went online and I looked in Advanced Auto. They had it over in Plymouth, and so I went over and I got a brand new one. And so now I got a brand new one. I'm going to put that in there. I'm actually going to put some silicone sealant around the inside too, to make sure that this really seals up really good and everything. Well guys, oil pan is in. I'll tell you what, that dipstick tube, to get that dipstick tube in, is horrible. I think it's a horrible design. I think I should have tried to put the dipstick tube into the adapter before I put it in there. I couldn't get it in. I had to like sand the end of the tube. It just wouldn't fit in there. I finally got the fit in decent. Then there's an O-ring in there, and every time I started pushing in there, the O-ring would cut. I'd put a new O-ring on there. I've been fighting this thing for hours. I finally got it in there. I think doing this in the truck with the body around it and stuff is just really hard to do. But just as an added protection, I put a really nice healthy coat of Cleaned It with brake cleaner all around there. And then I put a nice healthy coat of black silicone around the end of that so it doesn't leak out there. I mean, everything else is sealed up good. But I got it all in there. Now it's just a process of dropping the motor an inch, dropping the body an inch, dropping the motor an inch, just back and forth. So, get going on that. Well, guys, we are done, I believe. I believe that I got everything hooked up. This was a rough one for me. Got all the oil in there, just dumped the last bit of oil in. I believe everything is hooked up. I got no bolts left. I gotta tell you that probably on a hardness level between like 1 and 10 and changing this oil pan on this truck, I gotta say this was probably about an 8. Probably about an 8 or 9. It may have a little bit to do with my back, maybe, because I'm constantly having to get down, get back up, get down, get back up on the creeper. This creeper sucks. I gotta get a different creeper. Snap-on actually makes one. I tried it. Tracy's son-in-law has one. Super expensive, but really cool. I think I might have to actually spend the money and get it. Because these other little cheap creepers, they don't work. They're not going to be good for me. But the jacking up of the motor and of the frame of the body is the biggest deal. I mean, I was constantly going underneath there, jacking up on the body itself, jacking this up a couple inches, then positioning a jack under the motor, jack the motor up, you know, block it, block the front end, reposition things, just constant up and down, inch by inch, and just body, motor, body, motor, body, motor, and then coming back down was the same way. So I believe everything's all hooked up, everything's all back in there. So I see what it's fired up, see what it does. There's the shower. Got a dinging noise. Well, there we go. Looks good. I have to run it for a little bit, make sure everything's all good and stuff. Keep an eye on it for a little bit. But yeah, it's all put together. Running good, sounds good. I do have to change the muffler yet, but I don't have my welder here. And I can't get the muffler here. They make a muffler that you can just cut the pipe and put it in there and stuff. But I'm not sure the pipes are going to fit over top of mine. It may be a weld thing. That's something I can do up there in the UP. I can just back it up by the garage and do that. I'm gonna finish working on it. I'm gonna grease it all and everything. So I'm just gonna go through, check all the fluids, check everything over, and the next video I will tell you guys what's going on with that whole RV park and all that stuff. But I'll tell you right now. Speaking with the supervisor, basically it was, I didn't do all this stuff, and I'm like, well, have you watched the video? And she's like, no. I said, you need to go watch the video because she says all this stuff in there. And then she's like, I'm gonna have to watch this. And then me and her actually got along, and we actually came up with something. But she's like, I'm gonna have to contact this Melissa person and actually maybe rein her in a little bit because a lot of this is untrue. And I'm like, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'll be talking more about it next video and stuff, and telling you what's going on and what happens at the meeting and stuff. I think there's gonna be a lot of neighbors there, and I'm the one who riled them all up. So, but hey, if we got it stopped, we got it stopped. Mission accomplished. That's why I wanted to do this right away. Because a lot of people are saying, well, it has to be voted on, all stuff. But by that time it gets to that, she may have had grant money for all this and everything's all going through, and then it's a pain in the butt. So this way, you go in there, nope, we don't want this, go away. And so I think that's been mission accomplished. So we'll see what happens on Monday night. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that everybody is out there is having themselves a great day, great night, watching this here video. And if you are not, we're certainly going to try that all over again tomorrow. I will catch you guys later. See ya.